What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Formula One True North, the Canadian Formula One podcast. I'm your host, Drew, and we got our boys here, Ed and Tomas. Walker is still MIA right now for reasons we don't know, but we will move forward anyway because that's what the three amigos do. Let's start off this week with Carlos Sainz. He has been the talk of the town in Formula One for the last couple weeks, especially since the summer break happened. He signed with Williams. That was a long time coming. We definitely wanted to see where he was going to land, and we anticipated that that would be the first domino to fall in the rest of the driver market.
It's lights out and away we go.
So, let me ask you guys, how will the choice that Sainz made impact the remaining open seats at Alpine and Sauber? And what do you think is going to happen with the rest of the driver market after that happens? Ed, let's rock it, baby.
All right. Well, first of all, I think we've talked about this for how many episodes now, but I think in terms of what Sainz did, he did the right choice when it comes to team environment, because I think that's one of the key reasons why he's like not feeling it going to Mercedes or not feeling it going to other teams and going to a team that that fosters this type of an environment. And in terms of the other open seats, like Alpine, we don't know what's gonna happen. They're saying Jack Doohan or possibly, I mean, some rumors might be Liam Lawson. Might be far fetched. And then Sauber, it kind of like sets a precedence now for Sauber / Audi that they couldn't land Carlos Sainz. So now there's a lot of question as to what the future will hold for that team. Are they really going to be a stand-up team? Are they really going to be a competitive team? Everyone's saying they have their own engine, and then they have good backing, and then they're going to try. They've won how many times in Le Mans and other types of motorsport that they've also attended. But Formula One is a different monster all to itself, and that's probably why Carlos Sainz was like, "I'm not gonna go into a team that's not tested. They're this is their maiden voyage in the motorsport scene within Formula One, and you don't want to get locked into that." So, really good choice on Carlos Sainz. Decision on joining Williams. I kind of have this love-hate relationship with Williams, but you know what? With Alex Albon and him, and I said this in the last episode, it's gonna be a fantastic ride. I want to see how they pan out for next year and also 2026. Tomas, what do you think
jump
about
in there,
that?
Thomas, I just want to say something real quick, and I don't know if you guys seen this on Instagram. This is for you, Thomas, because I know you're a huge Valtteri Bottas fan. Did anyone check out Valtteri's new ride? Valtteri got a new ride, the new Audi R8 V10, and it had the number 77 on the side. So I don't know if he was dropping a couple hints there. Maybe he got signed to a company called Audi, but I seen it posted, and it said Valtteri. It had like the little butt end of the car, and it had the 77 on that black part. You know where the white and black R8, you know what I'm talking about? It had a 77 there. I'm just saying. So I don't know if that's like him dropping a little hint that, hey, maybe something happened over the summer break they're going to announce. But I just want to put that out there. Now, Thomas, carry on.
So, yeah, in regards to Valtteri Bottas, it would make sense. Like we talked about last episode, he, for Audi / Kick Sauber, he's the guy for them to pick, even though with experience, what's left out there. So, if it is true, makes sense. In regards to Carlos Sainz, I still know how I feel. Like, yeah, the team, the drivers might be amazing, Albon and Sainz. Like I said last episode, I think why he picked that team was because flexibility. Essentially, they gave him from what I understood, a very flexible contract in case something better comes up, or if he sees a better performing team like Audi, in the future or something, he has the flexibility to jump there. But I still don't know if he made the right choice. Like, it's going to be an amazing driver lineup, as Ed said. But I don't know. I'm still waiting for those few races to really, really see what Albon and Sainz can do and can prove. And and then there's other flip the side to the coin. What if they do freaking amazing? What if they're actually going to be like third, fourth, fifth? It's obviously far fetched, but maybe he's going to end up staying long term, which is also a possibility. That would be amazing. It would be very unique and amazing. In regards to what's left out there for the other teams, slim pickings. As Ed said as well, Liam Lawson unsure, a couple other drivers unsure. So, like I said, pretty sure Kick Sauber is gonna sign Valtteri Bottas, and what's left is really unknown at this time from the slim pickings that are available. It might not be none of these guys. It might be someone completely new. We just don't know at this point in time.
Right. So, you know what? We have Carlos Sainz over at Williams, and I think he made that decision for a reason. And I think his confidence in James Vowles is ultimately what's going to push someone over the edge in order for him to make a big move like that. But Thomas, I think you're right. I think, him signing a 1+1 was probably the right move, right? He signs a 1-year deal. He's got a seat. He stays in Formula One, which we've seen before is very, very important to make sure you stay there, because once you're gone, people forget about you very quickly. New drivers come up the ranks and they'll drive for cheaper. And the other side of the coin is Williams looks like they're on the right trajectory. I don't think that they're going to be a front-running team in the time that Carlos Sainz is there, and keeping that option open for him to jump into a Mercedes seat, a Red Bull seat, a McLaren seat, whatever else happens to open up for him I think he has that opportunity because he is a great driver. Is he the best? No. But is he definitely a front-running driver? I'd put him in the top, 6 drivers? Hands down. Right? So, I think he made the right move ultimately with the choices he had left. And I think that that's kind of the caveat to all this, is that he didn't have a lot of choices and options left. Right? He took the one in the hand versus two in the bush kind of idea, right? Williams seemed more like a sure shot idea than something like Audi, Sauber going forward, because they're not in a great place. They're actually in the worst place right now. And they're also just not on the right trajectory at this moment. Now, they will be a works team and things might turn around, but that could be a 3, 4, 5-year plan. And who knows how much longer Carlos Sainz has in a seat altogether, right? So I think, for Carlos Sainz, he made the best move with what he had. Now, using that as a segue, let's go from one driver who's made a decision. Talked about Valtteri Bottas a little bit. Maybe he has that Kick Sauber, that second seat there. Let's talk about another driver who's hoping for a seat. Danny Ricciardo. Danny Ricciardo was gunning for that second Red Bull senior seat. And Checo got a confirmation over the summer break, just before summer break started, that he was going to be comfortably in that seat for the foreseeable future. That being said, Danny Ricciardo's dream of jumping into that car halfway through the season just got shot. And I guess my question is to you guys, do you guys think that he has a shot at that seat before Yuki Tsunoda, before Liam Lawson, or before another driver? Do you think Danny Ricciardo will ever sit in that second Red Bull seat?
I mean, with Christian Horner still at the helm, yes. Simply said, because Christian Horner, I don't know if you've seen how many episodes in Drive to Survive. I think a few years ago, actually no, last year, and then also some of the interviews with Christian Horner as well. He has a really soft spot for Daniel Ricciardo, and
or is it a hard spot?
He's there, huh?
Or is it a hard spot?
Oh, well, it could be a hard spot too. We'll never know. But yeah, I think that once Sergio Perez is out, I doubt that they would take Liam Lawson into that Red Bull seat, because if they would have wanted him to be in any seat at all within the Red Bull family, he would have gotten it already. He would have gotten it ahead of Ricciardo. But we have Helmut Marko, we have Christian Horner, and then just the familiarity of Ricciardo with the rest of the team, not just those two, head honchos within the team. So, I think for the rest of the season, I mean, if he doesn't perform, he may lose his seat. But we still don't know because they won't even say if he has the seat for 2025 or 2026. So that seat in AlphaTauri slash VCarb slash whatever you want to call it is still open. It's just like Alpine, just like Sauber. So we don't know. I myself, like, I'm lost. I don't even want to talk about this anymore because like you'll never know what Red Bull is going to come out after the summer or what news is going to happen mid through the last part of the season. So I'm waiting to see.
And I'm kind of with that on this one. Just what we talked about last episode. There's so much changes in Red Bull, and we are all still surprised that Checo is still at Red Bull at this point in time. And there was some rumors, speculations that FIA maybe had something to do with it because the Mexican GP is coming up. Whatever the case is, so it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, that Red Bull's saying, yeah, Checo's going to stay and for the foreseeable future, because we all know things change so fast there. So if he doesn't perform the next couple of races, Red Bull might just come out after the Mexican GP and just say, sorry, Checo, you're done, and we're going to put someone else, whether that be Danny Rick or no. We don't know. Do I think Danny Rick has a chance to drive for Red Bull? Absolutely. And part of it is what Ed said. Christian Horner likes him as a driver. I still think he has that marketability about him. We talked about this previously again. I think, Drew, you mentioned it. His marketability is running out. Apparently, it's not running out because he's still popular. He still brings in the fans. Is there better drivers, or should I say, should other drivers deserve his seat that are better? Yeah, that's debatable. Just because, again, whether it's his skill or confidence or the car, he just hasn't been performing the way he should be performing, which is very disappointing. But in the foreseeable future, yeah, I definitely see that he's going to have a chance, whether it's with VCarb or Red Bull or some other team. I don't think he's done yet. And I know, again, we talked about this, he's done for sure. No one's going to sign him and blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, that's still not the case. He's still here. He's still fighting for it. And I still think he has a lot left to show us.
All right, guys. Well, let's play a fun game then. Let's take Danny Ricciardo. And let me ask you, what team do you think would sign him if all the other teams had no seats? Everything was empty. What team do you think would be the most likely to sign Danny Ricciardo?
Sorry, let me clarify. Like, all the seats are empty, and who's going to sign him?
Yep. What team do you think would fight for him first?
Now that makes it different. What team would fight for him first?
Yeah.
Well, that's tough. That's actually
the fact
tough.
that you guys don't know just shows how uninteresting Danny Ricciardo is besides his marketability. His driver skill set, otherwise you'd be like, oh, Red Bull's going to fight for him. AlphaTauri, you can't even name a team. He's just in the AlphaTauri team because he was in the Red Bull fold. If he wasn't prior to, this guy would have no seat on the grid. He's not good enough to be that guy. It's just because he's a character. He's a decent enough driver to keep the car on track and finish a race. And that's the only skill set he has at this point besides his character and his marketability factor. That's it. And that's why I wanted that exercise to happen. Oh, okay, Thomas, what do you got?
No, you're right. As soon as you said it, to your point, and I was thinking what teams would really want, the only two teams that literally came to my mind was Red Bull and VCarb. But even then, I was questioning myself at the same time, so you do have a point. I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Well, shucks. Look at that, agreeing with me. All right, well, let's get out of VCarb. Let's get out of Danny Rick. Let's move on to McLaren. They are making a huge push right now because they have both cars racing at the front of the grid right now. They are making a huge push to catch up to Red Bull. They're only 42 points behind. Do you think McLaren's momentum can stop Red Bull from winning the top spot by the end of this year? I know we touched on it a little bit, but oh God, Jesus, Edward. Well, finish it. You might as well.
I said it the last episode. they're going to win everything. They're gonna go take the bag, and Max Verstappen's gonna be pissed off because what's happening to the team? Like, it's done. Like, I'm saying it now. I'm manifesting it. It's such a hot word right now. Like, manifesting that McLaren is going to win constructors and Lando Norris is going to take the drivers' championship. Like, the momentum is there, guys. It's there. They're sticking to their word. They have the performance. Even Max Verstappen said that their car is faster than theirs. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Not much else to add to Ed's point. Unless Checo pulls off a miracle and starts getting first or second every single race, yeah, McLaren all the way. I don't see Red Bull holding the lead.
Now, Checo has been known to pull out the last half of the year in some good form. So he has been known to be the guy to shit the bed the first half of the year and absolutely change his sheets by the last half of the year. So let's assume that Checo starts to pick it up a little bit. And let's say consistently gets in the points. Let's not even say wins on the podium because that might be pushing it a little bit. But if Checo starts getting some consistent points, I don't think that there's a chance that McLaren's going to be able to catch up based on the calls that they're making right now. I would argue, actually, this is another great question. I would argue that McLaren is a faster car than Red Bull right now. Like you mentioned, Ed, Max Verstappen admitted it. Do you think Mercedes over the last 5 races has had the second fastest car?
Yes.
Would you like to elaborate, or is it you're just going to leave it at a yes/no answer?
No. Give me a
I'm not mad, but
here.
this is a podcast. People want to hear us talk.
Exactly. Just I'm gonna get to it. Based on the last 3 races before the summer break, Mercedes. So, like, in terms of pace, they have pace. In terms of the strategy, they finally got it. They finally know what to do. They figured out what the right setting is for each of the cars. And mind you, I loved it, especially for the last race, where they were horrible for FP1. Mind you, FP1 and FP2, they changed their floors, and they killed it for qualifying, and they killed it for the race. I mean, it seems like finally they have the groove. They know what they can push out of the car, and they know the pace that they can go at, and they know their strengths, and they're taking it to each and every team, and they know the weaknesses of the other teams as well, and capitalizing on that. And that's why they won 3 races, the last 3 races rather, before the summer break.
I think I'm still in the middle of this. I think they put some good moves. I think they got lucky. I think they definitely had the right strategy calls. Do I think they're the second fastest car on the grid right now? Hard to say. I'm leaning towards no. I think a lot of it, the last 3 races especially, were just pure down to luck, driver skill, and the right calls. I don't think they're gonna continue having that success for the rest of the season. Yeah, they're gonna, get the podium, second, third, whatever, maybe some firsts. But yeah, I don't think I still think Red Bull is the second fastest car on the grid compared to Mercedes.
All right, that's fair. I think they are. I think if you look at the lap times and you look at what's going on over the last 5 races, I think they are the second fastest car. Do I think that they're going to continue at that? I think that Red Bull is going to make enough moves over the summer break to take back the crown. I think, especially in Zandvoort, that Max Verstappen, who is Mr. Dutchman himself, I think he's going to absolutely come in and slap it this Sunday. And he's going to show everybody why you can't sleep on Red Bull, regardless of what their trajectory has been like over the last 4 or 5 races. He's won the last 3 times at Zandvoort, and I think that there's an opportunity for him to show the home fans what's going on, and I think he's going to take this opportunity and make it happen. To think that this guy didn't spend his entire summer vacation on a sim racer is crazy. You know that guy's been in a cockpit the entire time, racing around all kinds of tracks, all kinds of cars. This guy's a diehard, and he's not going to let this opportunity slip away. So let me ask you guys this on a quick bold prediction. Who do you think has it for Zandvoort coming up this weekend? Oh, yeah, by the way, did we mention it's fucking race week, boys? We're back. Go.
We're back. Predictions. I will go with Lando, Piastri, Hamilton.
Wow. Max shutout. Okay.
Damn, Ed. Okay. That's brave. I'm going to say Max number 1 just because it's his track. I'm going to say Lewis number 2 because why not? Because Lewis is going to definitely fight him on this track and not going to let him have it. Going to say hard for 3 between Lando and Piastri. Going to say Lando's going to be 3rd.
All right. That's fair. I'm going to go with Max number 1. I'm going to go with Oscar number 2, and I'm going to go with George Russell number 3. And the reason why I'm keeping Lewis off here is because Lewis has never won here before. I don't think he likes this track. I just don't think it's in his, wheelhouse in terms of, lovability on this. I just don't think it's for him. Like, how has he been the most winningest driver of all time and never won here? So let's just call it what it is. I think those are some decent bold predictions, boys, because none of us picked the same 3 on the podium. So I'm liking all of that. We'll have to reach out to Walker and see what his bold predictions are, and we'll put that in the Discord, which brings me to my next point. If you guys haven't liked or subscribed and done all that fun stuff, we're on YouTube, so please subscribe. We really appreciate it. It helps out with the algorithm. If you're on Discord, check the show notes. We'll have a link in there. You can jump into the Discord, talk to all kinds of F1 people about F1. It's a blast. Follow us on the socials. We got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, the whole kit, man. If you scroll on it, we're there. So check it out. We appreciate it. Speaking of which,
I don't know if you guys haven't noticed, and this is a perfect segue right now. We haven't mentioned Ferrari in the past 22 minutes of us recording this episode. Not even once did we even consider where Ferrari is and how they're doing.
What we talked about Carlos Sainz.
No. We talked about Carlos Sainz, but we were talking about him and Williams, and that's why I wanted to segue into this, with how Ferrari showed progress in Belgium, and they could be facing a very challenging race in Zandvoort, being that you have the strong McLaren boys, you have the Red Bull team and Max Verstappen that wants redemption, and it's a home race for him. The Orange Army is going to be there popping smoke like mad, and then you have the Silver Arrows that just came from 3 consecutive races. What are the chances that Ferrari is even going to do anything remotely competitive for this coming race? Tomas, what do you think about that?
Since you mentioned Ferrari and none of us even mentioned on the podium, that says a lot. I mean, for all of us. So I think we don't have big expectations for Ferrari for this race, which is kind of funny, kind of unique, just considering where they are right now. And none of us picked any of the drivers. It's a little bit concerning for us to all do that. I don't see them fighting this. Drew, you said that you don't see Lewis Hamilton. I see Lewis Hamilton instead of Ferrari, which is the funny part, right? I think Lewis Hamilton is going to bring more of a challenge to Max than any of the Ferrari boys. So I don't think they're going to be competitive this specific race. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. We'll see. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
I think Ferrari, the last great thing Ferrari's done in 2024 was Monaco. And they've been on a downhill spiral since then, and that's unfortunate. They've had a couple of decent moments, not great, but decent moments here and there. But that's not enough for a top 3-4 team. They can't keep doing that. That is not what they need to be. Am I nervous for Lewis Hamilton to head over there next year? Buddy, not looking good. The start of the year, looking like a great move. By halfway through the season, not looking so bueno, right? And so I think that Freddie Vasseur needs to give that whole team a shake. They need to get back on board, start doing what they were doing before because it was working. I don't think Zandvoort's going to be their track because that is a very twisty, turny track. As I look up to my track board over here, it doesn't have a lot of straights. And I think that they're going to be more geared towards Monza where they want to perform at home. So I think a lot of this summer was spent looking at the high-speed straights of Monza. And that's kind of been Ferrari's shtick over the last few years anyway. So I don't think Zandvoort's where it's going to be, but this will be a good inclination of how much work Ferrari has put in over the last 3 weeks in order to put them in the right position to start making some moves going the other way.
I mean, I actually kind of see it in the other light, being that Zandvoort has a lot of twists and turns and elevation changes, just like Monaco. So I'm seeing correlations between the two, but I could be wrong. Again, I'm just speculating, but there could be a chance that they can be at least in the top 10 and be competitive for both cars, scoring the points. But I doubt that they would be podium. Like with everything that's happened for the past few races post Monaco, it's, as you said, Drew, it's been like pretty much downhill from that point. And then on your point as well on Hamilton, I mean, this again, speculation, but very far-fetched, but I'm just basing it on trends in history. When Mercedes got him, they were in the shits too. They were not a competitive team. Like, he took the place of Michael Schumacher, and they weren't there. He somehow kind of like helped with the development of the team, the car, like the way they're supposed to race, the way they set up the cars. And I believe that that's probably why he's moving on to Ferrari and then, you know, going with a familiar face like Freddie Vasseur. And hopefully we'll have that, you know, same luck and hopefully win. So we'll see what happens. All I'm pumped for right now is we're back. Don't forget to watch FP1 because I base all of my predictions on FP1, Edwards FP1. And yeah, looking forward to the race. Looking forward
How are those predictions been going for you, buddy?
Nothing. Nothing.
So for everybody out there who's listening, let's not base your bets on FP1 because they mean absolutely nothing. But Ed seems to think that they are God's gift to Formula One. And so, you know what?
Of course.
Let's let the little guy keep thinking he's doing his thing. So what I did read in some new news coming up is that Perez is now set to switch his race engineer after the summer break. He said he's refreshed and ready, that he's back ready to start kicking some ass, which obviously needs to start happening because, you know, the Red Bull team boss, Christian Horner, he said that, you know, Perez's form is unsustainable. And I think that that is a super nice way of saying, kid, you got to shit or get off the pot because, you know, if we are looking at fending off the likes of McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes for the Constructor Championship, we need to get something happening big time. And let me ask you guys this question. Do you think a switch up in his race engineer is going to be enough to pull Checo out of the dumps?
Anything's going to help at this point. Like, anything. Like, change his shoes, change his socks, change his steering wheel. Heck, you change the side mirrors. Maybe that would help. Anything that would kind of like kick him in the ass and just like, come on, Checo. You went from last place in Abu Dhabi when you were racing for Racing Point and won the race. That's how you got the seat. That's the driver that Red Bull saw. Come back, please. We know you have it.
I think, like Ed said, it is going to help. I'm not sure if it's going to help as much as we think or he thinks. But yeah, I think we should see an improvement because just as we all been talking about it, something needs to go, you know, and nothing's happening. So yeah, I'm hoping it puts him more, steers him more in the right direction and not, you know, actually steers him towards the points, not out of the points.
All right. So based on the last half of the season and the tracks that we have coming up scheduled. So obviously we're going to land in the Netherlands, then we're headed off to Italy, going to Azerbaijan, doing the Baku race, Singapore, we're going to the US for the COTA race, then in Mexico, Brazil, headed back to the US for Vegas, ending off with Qatar and Yas Marina at the Abu Dhabi. Who do you think, if the last half of this season was considered its own season, give me some predictions on who you think would show up first and come out with it with the trophy?
As things stand right now, or completely fresh?
No, right now. If we went to the last half of the season, the first half didn't exist. And the last half of the season was the entire season.
So I'm gonna say, for team, like you mean, or just drivers?
Both.
I'm gonna say for both. Number one would be McLaren. I think they would kill it. Two would be Red Bull. I'm gonna stick with Red Bull for that. And three, between Merc and Ferrari, I would be leaning towards Merc. Those would be my predictions.
That says something about the trajectory of those teams, right? Like, the fact that Red Bull wasn't a first answer is alarming. And the fact that Ferrari wasn't mentioned, well, it was mentioned, but wasn't noted, is alarming. That's no bueno. Those guys are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And yeah, I honestly, I think you're bang on that. Those are exactly how. Oh God, Ed. For all of you who are listening to this and not watching it, Ed is rubbing his hands together like a small child about to go to Toys R Us for the first time. Okay, Ed, let's have it.
I was right. Like, that's, you know, McLaren's gonna take all of it. I'll leave it at that. Go McLaren.
And second and third.
Okay, if I have to, you know what? I'm gonna change it up. Let's go Mercedes, and then Red Bull. Red Bull's gonna come in third.
Again, no mention of Ferrari. That's not a look. That's not a look.
It's definitely not. I'm basing it off of how they've been performing. How many times they've made changes to the car, and how many times they've messed up the setup. There's something systemically wrong in that team right now, and it sounds like they don't know what's happening. They have everything put together. They have, they have good health. They have good hands in there. They have Freddie Vasseur steering the ship. Something is systemically wrong in there. So
if you were to guess what's missing there, what do you think's missing? Because I think you're right. I think that there's something that they had at the beginning of the year that they no longer have. I think if they had left their car alone, they would be in a better position now than if they were doing all these quote unquote upgrades that happened over the season. Because I think they were downgrades.
Yes, they were. Like, even them stepping back to a setup when they went to the Hungaro ring, they stepped back to the setup they had in Barcelona, and that worked. So it's not really upgrades. I'm doing air quotes here for people who are not watching the YouTube. And it's, yeah, there's definitely something wrong. I mean, honestly, I feel like if Adrian Newey, for example, and this is probably adding more, gas to the fire. If Adrian Newey would be able to step into Ferrari, for example, which we all know I don't think is going to happen, but if they have someone that's going to kind of like set up the car in a way wherein it's beneficial for the drivers and not just beneficial because of how they're going to respond to other teams, I think that that might help. But again, I'm not an engineer, so I'm just speculating at this point.
Thomas, what do you got on that, big guy?
I think their passion is lost. They had the fire, they had the desire to win, and something happened and just lost it. And what you guys said as well, the upgrades were not upgrades; they were going backwards. I'm not even going to touch upon Adrian Newey because that would be a huge boost to their confidence, as a whole team. But since most likely that's not happening, as both of you said, it needs to be a little bit of a shakeup there too. Maybe like Ed said, Lewis Hamilton coming in from next year, maybe that's going to shake up the team and actually, put some people in the right place, and they're going to start performing again and hitting those podiums. But yeah, it's Monaco was nice. Their historic race, Ferrari on the podium, amazing, and then just they haven't been the same. So unfortunately for this season, I don't think it can be saved for them from what I'm seeing. Half of it is the fact that none of us really mentioned them, on the podium at all. So it shows how much we as fans believe in them. Yeah, the season is essentially definitely not podium finishers for them and constructors or drivers. And we'll see what happens next year with Lewis Hamilton. Maybe that's a big shakeup it needs.
Yeah, Charles Leclerc was able to capture enough points to put himself in a pretty good spot for Ferrari and give them enough championship points. I give it up to Carlos Sainz too. He was no slouch over that first half of the season. He did his best to bring home some points, especially after pulling out an appendix and jumping into a car, that quickly. Even Ollie Behrman got in there real quick, right? And I'm very much looking forward to seeing Ferrari kind of bounce back, because I really like those guys. I'm really rooting for them, and Freddie Vasseur is one of my favorite guys on the grid, and he's just one of those guys you just kind of want to see him win, because he puts in the work, and that guy's plugged up. Everybody on the grid loves that guy in a big way, and they respect him, and he respects them too. Obviously, there's some competition because we're in a sport. There's money on the line, and he's being paid to win. But I think ultimately, he's a very likable guy, and I think he did a lot of good things for that team this year, and he's definitely pointing them in the right direction. They've had a little bit of a slip up, but I think that those guys should jump back on top. Well, head up to the top over the next few races, because I think they needed a little bit of a shakeup, and I think the summer break was exactly what they needed. But this week we are finally back to Formula One. Thank all the racing gods right now, because this 3-week hiatus, I know it's a summertime, get outside, enjoy the weather. Yeah, all fine. An hour on Sunday is all I ask for. But we're back. We're going to Zandvoort in the Netherlands. Got 72 laps. It's a 4.5 kilometer, track, and it's a lot of fun there. We started racing there in the 50s, and it went on a 35-year hiatus, and we brought it back in 2020. And as far as my race watching is concerned, I kind of like Zandvoort. It's always been a fun spot. And that little strip of town that they're on, right on the water with the, Ferris wheel and all that kind of stuff. Those Dutch know how to party, man. I've been there. It's a jam. And I'm very much looking forward to this weekend. Are you guys got anything specific you want to say that you're looking forward to, besides the fact that F1 is back?
Yeah, F1 is back. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Hell yeah.
Summer break's done. Let's go. Let's go back into racing. Let's go finish the season on a high note, and let's see what these boys with the teams are gonna bring to the table.
Well, on that note, guys, I just want to congratulate us for our 50th episode.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even mention that.
That's right. It's our 50th episode. And to not just us, we started this off on a whim, and Drew is the master planner for this one, and decided to bring us all together and start this podcast. But we also want to thank everyone on the Discord and everyone that has commented, liked, shared, subscribed. Guys, thank you for all the support. We're not going anywhere. We're sad that Walker's not here for the 50th episode, but you know what? We're happy because you guys are here. So thank you for the unending support, and here's to another 50 or another 500 episodes. Who knows?
Let's go. Well said, Ed.
Go.
Let's go. Happy 50 to us. 50 episodes. Yeah, let's bang out another quick 50 and see where this goes, boys.
Exactly.
And for anyone
forward to it.
Maybe on the next 50th, we'll be somewhere in Europe watching F1.
That's what I was going to say, man. We're still looking for a couple of free tickies to a race, boys. That's it. We're not asking for a whole bunch. I don't want that crazy sponsorship money. We'll take it. But I just want a couple tickets to a race. You know what I mean? Just take a little roadie somewhere. But Thanks so much, guys. We appreciate it. This is Formula One True North, the Canadian Formula One podcast. We will be back next week reviewing Zandvoort and the Dutch Grand Prix, and we'll see you guys there. Ciao for now.
Bye.
It's lights out and away we go.